Alright, coming to you guys with something a little different today. I want to talk to you about Anansi. Now, this may be a figure that you've heard of before, but if you haven't, I'll quickly summarize who he is. He is a trickster hero from African folklore, specifically from Ghana. And then anywhere that Ghanaian people were taken, they took these stories with them. So this is something very much of the diaspora, much like Capoeira is. It spread all through the Caribbean, spread into the southern United States, these Anansi stories. The Anansi story I'm going to tell you about today goes like this. Anansi was a spider. At different points, he's depicted as a spider or as a human or as a combination of the two, but in this story, he's a spider. The lion, being the king of all beasts, gathers together the different animals to himself, and he sets out the pecking order. Him being the king, of course, being the ruler, is going to be above everyone else. Directly beneath him is going to be the tiger. And he tells the tiger, whenever I pass, you must bow to me. And directly underneath the tiger, he places Anansi the spider. He says, when either I or the tiger pass, because you are our inferior, you must bow to us. Furthermore, if we are to give you an order, you are to carry it out immediately and without question. Now, the tiger accepts his role, bows his head to the lion, and goes about his way. Anansi pretends to accept his role, bows himself to the tiger, and prostrates himself before the lion. And once the tiger leaves, he goes to the lion and he says, King Lion, you must be wary of this tiger, for he thinks himself you are better and wishes to supplant you and usurp your throne. Be wary. And he leaves. King Lion, not wanting to suffer the abuses of his inferior and not being one for insubordination, hatches out a plan that he's going to have to kill this tiger because he can tolerate no challenge to his authority. And so he follows the tiger. And when the tiger least expects it, the lion jumps on him, surprises him, and quickly kills him. Anansi, who was watching from a nearby tree, lowers himself with a gourd of water for the overexerted King Lion and says, King Lion, congratulations on your victory. You must be extremely thirsty. And he gives King Lion the gourd of water. The lion thanks him and begins to drink, not realizing that Anansi had poisoned the water. In so doing, Anansi had rid himself of his two superiors. Now, you say, what's this got to do with capoeira samurai? Well, I want you to think about who capoeiristas are, who they were, where we come from. Right? We come from a slave culture. We come from people who were taken away and who were held by overwhelming force. Slaves really had no hope of being able to match their captors just simply by force of arms alone. They had to find some other way to do it. And in Capoeira, this expresses itself as malícia, as mandinga, as malandragem. Anansi, in this case, knows that in a knockdown, drag-out fight, if he were to face the lion and the tiger toe-to-toe, that there's absolutely no way that he was going to be able to take them. But however, he was not willing to be enslaved by them. So, he had to use something else. He had to use his wits. He found a different way to win. Now, it's the same in Capoeira. This whole thing has come full circle to us now. In the roda, let's take the roda for example, and again, the roda is always a microcosm for life. Okay? But in the roda specifically, it's not everybody that you're going to be able to beat outright simply by matching them blow for skill. You know, of course, amongst friends, we're not playing in a way that we're trying to defeat each other or anything like that. But we also have to remember that capoeira is a martial art and it is a form of self-defense. You're going to be faced with, at some point, an opponent, somebody who is not your partner, who is not working towards a mutual good, but someone who means you harm. It's not every one of those that you're going to be able to meet head on and use brute force. And if you only train to use brute force and speed and physicality in order to defeat your opponent, you will be outmatched at some point. However, there's a different weapon. There's a different way to win in Capoeira. Your wits, your manjinga, your malícia, your malandragem. So this story of Anansi really sets out for us a different way of doing things. Now, this is also the reason why there are different games in Capoeira. Okay, sure, we have our salbento, right? We all love our salbento. Oh, yes, using speed and being able to show our tricks and our physicality. But that's not the only way to do it. We are forced through games like Angola or Benguela, depending on your lineage, to train to use our wits in the game. Okay? Here's something where I'm going to take away your physical advantage. You can no longer use your speed. You can no longer use brute force. Now you have to set the trap. Now you have to be able to outthink your partner or your opponent, depending on the game. Now, in so doing, what we as teachers are trying to do is trying to force you into a situation where you can't depend on physicality as a weapon. Now you start to develop other skills. You start to develop other ways of doing things. And this is important because that is the core of a capoeirista's strength. Now, as I said, the roda is a microcosm for life. In your day-to-day, you're going to come across people who have set themselves on authority over you. It is not in your best interest, normally, to simply use brute force to try to change that situation. Look at the story of Mestre Bimbo, for example. Right? When Mestre Bimbo set about trying to help capoeira to become legalized, he didn't go and beat down the governor's door and bash his brains in until he caved in and said, "Oh yes, no, capoeira is going to be legal now." No, he saw a need, right? He saw a point of leverage with the government, and he started to use that. And little by little, capoeira gained acceptance. You see, he used the system to defeat the system. We as capoeiristas, it behooves of us to do the same thing in our everyday lives. Very, very rarely is the answer an application of force. Most times, it can be better accomplished by applying your wits. Hope you found this beneficial. Paz e axé.